Now, in the last episode of Asians Read Kara-Tur, we left off on page 10 of the Kara-Tur the Eastern Realms campaign setting, and we had just read about Chukei, and we're basically like, first of all, we were like really taken aback at the parallels between this and Xinjiang, and how I think they inadvertently really touched on a lot of the modern stereotypes and racism that are in China. One of the things that we also did was, if you watching this like live on Twitch right now, or if you're watching it on YouTube, is that we had Austin, who is basically our navigator, with the maps, be like, these roads don't line up. Where are the roads going? But before
not to the mining town, apparently.
Not to the mining town, because the only way to transport goods is through bumpy roads.
Or it's all underground, like
Elon Musk's tunnel system.
I was like, no, like naked mole rats or like badger moles,
Except they're giant and they pull carts and everything. Oh.
Hey, look, dire badgers are a menace.
That's kind of cool.
I like dire badgers. That's cool.
Imagine if there was like an entire faction and they had these like dire naked mole rats, and they would just like tunnel, and they're actually pulling along these carts that are designed to like go over dirt, and it's like, oh, that's pretty neat. That's actually really cool.
That's my impression.
But one of the things that we found leading up to this was the trail map of Kara-Tur. Now, this is an official product that was released, and the trail map of Kara-Tur was something you could buy, and it had a nice print copy of the Kara-Tur map. The print copy, the version that you could find online, is actually pretty high quality. You can see the horse plains, you can see Chukei in pretty great detail. But what we realized was at the bottom of, as this thing loads, because it's a pretty big file, at the bottom of the trail map to Kara-Tur was some interesting information that would have proven valuable to us had we tried reading this before. And the thing that kind of stood out to me was the fact that they made an alphabet of show. And they made
being
alphabets work in
made being an operative word.
Yeah.
They tried to fabricate their own alphabet of 24 characters, and they just made up things.
It's really interesting because some of those characters, they do look like actual
They're radicals that are being used.
Is the Y just the yen symbol?
Yeah. The Y is just the fucking yen symbol.
It's just the yen symbol.
Yeah.
And the W is like the one for mountain. Yeah.
But it also looks the most like a W, so they're like, seems right.
Seems right.
I think
the Z and the S are interesting choices.
It's been a long time since I studied kanji / Chinese writing, but like R, I think that's like that's not person, is it? It's like
no.
That looks like something.
It makes me think of the simplified Chinese character for fart, but that's that's exactly what they meant for it to be.
Also, I can't help but look at it and think of an elephant, honestly.
Also, there's a literal sidebar where they wrote writing.
Yeah,
the vertical
writing
letters
using the alphabet. They made every character look like an actual English letter.
Yeah,
so.
It looks like an English. They basically took like the Roman alphabet and they stuck more horizontal lines on.
I feel like they looked at they went to like a restaurant, or they picked up the Chinese newspaper and way to support Chinese businesses. They picked up the Chinese newspaper. They looked, and then they were like, okay, which characters kind of look like English letters? Okay, this one. Let's add a couple little strokes to it to make it different. Boom. There's our A.
Yeah.
The C's kind of weird to me with the X in the middle.
Oh no, that's normal for a Chinese radical.
Okay, so
normal.
I can't.
That's normal.
Even.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with the script. So.
But the thing is, the numbers are what infuriate me, because the number 10, that's just the number 1.
That's just the yes.
And at 50,
the number 1 on its side.
Yes.
And then they just inverted everything.
100 is 3.
No, it's just tally marks, really, but like lazy as fuck.
if you're gonna use Chinese, if you're gonna fail at using Chinese characters, can you actually use real Chinese characters for the numbering at the least?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just a second. I have a book on fictitious writing systems. Let me go grab that.
But here's the thing. While Michelle does that, if you look at the example for the numbers, it's actually hilarious because, okay, 1,255. So they're like, okay, 1,000. Here's a symbol for 1,000. Instead of 200, they literally put 2 100s. So if it was, if you were to write out, say, 1,800, it would literally 1,000, and you would have to write 8 of those 100 symbols for that number to make sense.
Or the 500 plus.
Or the 500 plus 3, right? But like, how would you indicate that that's 500 plus 3? And it's just.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not in here.
It's a fundamental misunderstanding of how numbers are expressed in different languages. Because in English, no, that doesn't make sense either.
What bothers me about it is and we've talked about this a lot, is it feels like condescension, that they're expressing that this culture is primitive in their writing system.
Yeah, like it's overly complicated.
It's overly complicated, but it's also nonsensical and bad. As if like Asian people can't count.
Which actually the language is built in to count and do math at the same time. I'm just
looking at these characters and some of them, like, look at the E. Like, the E just doesn't make sense to me.
No.
Or the V.
The V is like something really weird and fierce.
I do like the I. The I is literally Wang.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is that the W is also literally a real character. That's.
Yeah, it's kind of inverted because like mountain is like the sides are shorter and then the
these sides
longer.
Longer.
I definitely agree that they were probably basing, if not outright taking, real characters when they did this.
Oh, for sure.
Just with no context behind what these characters actually mean.
I mean, they took for Y, they were like, okay, we'll put the yen. They literally just put the yen symbol, like you pointed out.
Yeah.
Yeah, though some of these are not. Like the one for M, that's not a thing. But
what is
K?
What
is that? It's
like
just
a K.
It's
K
a K,
is the
I think.
weird one out of the bunch. It's like part J, part everything else.
I mean, I'd say like the K is strange. The N is certainly very strange.
Yeah.
The K and N look like they just made it up themselves.
Yeah, the Q is also definitely made up because they were like, we don't know how to represent the one part of the Q in any way, so we're just gonna just shove it in there.
It kind of reminds me. It reminds me of the character for like country or like state.
Oh yeah, it kind of does.
An O looks like the version of like the sun, but like just with
there's like an extra space in there though.
Yeah, it's like weirdly offset with like an extra. What kills me though is the fact that we have an established show alphabet. Let's go back to Kara-Tur and look at the sides again.
That use real Chinese characters.
That use real Chinese characters. That's a very good point.
This is not internally consistent, and I'm just like,
I have this weird feeling that this was made like after the fact.
I was gonna say that myself. Like, I'm betting the alphabet came after this book.
This is a supplement. This is 100% a supplement.
Okay, yeah. So this was definitely like, oh, I guess we should put all this information in a neat place on a map. But what about the other previous material? What other material?
See, I wonder if they did something like this for Al-Qadim, but for Arabic.
I wouldn't be surprised if they did.
Like, I'm very curious because there must have been. Well, I guess this was in like the dying days of TSR. But I wonder if there was some sort of demand for like, I really want my show alphabet, right? But here's the thing: if they have like the show alphabet, what about the rest of Kara-Tur? Because show is only one nation. I mean, so far they've basically said that they're all basically the same kind of Asian. They just have different kinds of names. But this is it's an odd choice. I think especially from modern TTRPG standards, if you looked at something like this would just be like, this is just straight up racist. But given the circumstances in which they wrote it and the lack of like internet and things like that, this is just straight up ignorant.
Yeah.
I note they say it's top to bottom, left to right, which is that it's right to
It's
left
right to
usually.
left.
It's
is it
right to
not?
left
That's what I
because
thought.
because it's all about the fact that you're trying not to smear as you're writing.
As a left-handed person, like that is the ideal writing system, because I've spent my entire life smearing pages. And also looking at the numbers again, because I noted that they had a distinction for the 500, so I'm betting that the expression is supposed to be kind of like Roman numerals,
Yeah, it's
kind of
very
looking at how
Roman-
they're
Roman
putting it
numeral.
together.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But it just
It's just so inelegant. Like there was this writing system that was numbering system that was developed by like monks that went around the internet recently, and that actually made a heck of a lot more sense because it was relying on quadrants in order to denote hundreds, thousands, tens, and singles digits. And this is just it's just from like a linguistics perspective. I'm just so I'm just
Mhm.
I hate to say it, I'm just so offended on multiple levels. It's like I'm just so offended because it's like this is a dumb way to create a system.
Yeah.
It's not efficient.
Yeah.
it's odd, but
and
also
we have a
you're
real one.
but you're also think about like how we're actually writing this, right? So like every time I want to write the number 9, I gotta like draw this like I gotta draw a perfect square, and then I have to draw a grid inside of it. And
Yeah,
it's
it's so inefficient.
very
Yeah,
inefficient.
and I'll
It's
say
very
this from
inefficient.
like because I did take like a psychology etymology class for like a while, and I remember when we spent like a year going through writing systems and numbering systems. Like for numbering systems, it's all about efficiency. Like numbering
Yeah.
systems are all about efficiency. That's really what it is.
Yeah.
Language itself is also about efficiency to a certain degree, but that's subjective. Numbering is objectively always efficient.
Yeah, and I mean, like, this isn't the first time that, a D&D product has had, an alphabet, like a written language, right? But I think what's been bothering all of us collectively about this is how they have made deliberate attempts to make these, like, exotic characters look like conventional characters that everyone understands. It's like, yeah, let's make this exotic C, but it's still going to look like a C. It's just going to be more convoluted.
But why?
Or like if you want to make up characters, don't reference real, like what I would call kanji. Like don't reference real Asian scripts. Just make something up.
Yeah,
Honestly, I can't get past the friggin' yen symbol. Like that.
Yeah.
Just,
Yeah.
like,
that is
Symbol
so
for Y.
lazy. Oh my gosh, it's so lazy, and I think that's why I'm so like this is upsetting. This is genuinely upsetting.
Oh.
Because I mean, when we look at like other writing systems, like in the real world, like cuneiform and whatnot, like it's just so much more efficient.
Yep.
It's well designed. It's like very, I don't know. And this is
it was built by a culture of people who actually intended to use it, and
Yeah.
Right.
Can you imagine using this for
Yeah.
accounting? Like this
Oh,
is
it
how
would be
much,
terrible.
It would be awful. So
like,
I
this
just
is
went.
how much wheat we came in.
I just went down a rabbit hole, and there are threads and threads and threads of people being like, "Can I get a font pack for Shou Chang?"
I'm not surprised.
Is it like
I'm not
ironic
surprised.
for ironic purposes?
Oh no.
Probably
No,
not.
they're serious. They're serious.
Yeah, they're serious.
because these are diehards of these are diehard fans of Kara-Tur who are like, we love playing in this setting. We want to keep playing in this setting. So please, let's have it.
But also, like, just thinking about how inefficient that numbering system is, and thinking about how, in order to, so if you're like keeping track of, like,
Harvest, yeah,
just
like barley
think
coming
about
in.
how much, like, I don't know, paper or bamboo that you're wasting in order to mark that down. That's actually really. Now I'm just thinking about. like stacks and stacks of paper just so that you can draw in all of the
Yeah,
squares
If you
and-
look at
properly.
like cuneiform tablets, many of them could fit into the palm of your hand because of the way, like,
Right.
especially with the
Yeah.
writing implements that
Yeah,
would be
because
used to
they
write
were
cuneiform
receipts.
because you're pressing
Yeah.
into it.
Yeah, like
Mhm.
most of the small ones are receipts. Like it's usually just like, this is this shipment of copper that came in, like, and here is the receipt. I'm recording this. Or my usual favorite ones are the ones that are basically like bad Yelp reviews that are like, this book came in,
Yes.
it was completely spoiled, and it's just like, but that's, I'm gonna stop now. This is
Also,
too
I see
early for my blood
Daniel
pressure.
actually found the font set, and I'm just tired
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
I'm just
Uh,
tired.
I'm just so
Now,
angry.
perhaps we should move on then, and
Yeah.
Thank you.
Probably a good idea.
My blood pressure can't take
let's
this.
cleanse our palate with the plane of the horse.
Yay!
Ah.
Let's
Now,
see. What's
See,
going on.
I'm particularly excited about this because I know Emma knows a shit ton about horses. And so I'm expecting something. I haven't read ahead. So I'm gonna start
Watch the first line is on the plane of the horse there are no horses.
Okay. Don't get my hopes up. My hopes up. Okay.
Your horse up?
Horse.
You go get your horse up.
Okay. The land. This area is comprised of vast arid salt plain. Most of the salt, iron, and other metals of the empire come from scattered mines in this area. This is the province of the Great Dragon Wall, which blocks the barbarian hordes from sweeping into the empire. The Guangqiu Road also passes through this region. History. Mayuan has always been a place of rugged adventurers and tough miners. Too cold and barren to support a large population, it has never been an important nexus of civilization. The province has formed one of the first lines of defense against the barbarians of the Plain of Horses, the people. The people of this region, the Mai, are a hardy, stolid, and reliable lot, excellent horsemen and fierce fighters with axe and short sword. We're going to talk about that. They are physically the largest of the show peoples, standing almost 6'2" as an average. Their clothes are usually rough woolens tipped with furs. The Mai eat far more millet and wheat than is common in other parts of the empire, mostly in the form of noodles and stuffed buns. They are the only people of the show who regularly eat lamb and mutton. It is said of the Mai that they are stubborn to anger, as unstoppable as the typhoon, and
It's typhoon.
typhoon.
Yeah.
Okay, and bright before heaven in their stupid honesty. Whether this proverb is a compliment is somewhat unclear. Cities?
No,
or-
it is not a compliment.
Shade.
Yeah,
Throwing all the shade.
Okay, this episode is definitely going to be more critical than the last one, which we were actually like enjoying ourselves. Cities or places of note. Within the province are the cities of Minlo, a minor trade city on the Spice Road, once terrorized by the copper demon of Tross, and Yanqing, a favorite trade city with the northern barbarians, known for its fine horses and cattle. How do you keep cattle
Okay.
in an arid plain?
Arid salt. Like,
Yeah, it's a salt
how does
plain.
that work?
I would like to point out that axes and short swords are not the first weapons that you should maybe use when you're on horseback.
Also, you're like 6 foot tall.
No.
You're riding on what is assumed to be a big horse, and you got like a short weapon. And
a short sword.
That
Like you
doesn't
should be
make
using a
any
scimitar.
sense.
Like that's why a scimitar and cavalry swords make sense because they're
yeah.
curved,
Yep.
and
Yeah.
you can do like the
You do
swiping
things-
motion.
yeah.
Or you
It-
Also,
you
it
pole
may
arms.
be that
Also,
they-
pole arms,
Yeah.
archery,
Pole arms are
all of
great.
those
Yep.
things.
yeah, these are like from a martial weapon standpoint. It's like axe,
Why?
are you like hacking or
And
like
so,
this?
since this is China, I feel like we should say that like the Chinese equivalent to these weapons. If we're going to go for like a saber, it would be like a dao.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Rather than like,
It could be that the axe would actually be a glaive, which would make sense. But
yeah.
are these the Huns? Is that because I because I remember with the Chuke, it kind of had the Mongolia vibe. So would this then be the Huns
So
if this is like the barbarians?
So on our Kara-Tur map, Mayuan is just kind of
Yeah, it's
south of Chuke.
well, due
Yeah.
west, honestly.
And the horse plains is to the west.
No,
of
horse
the
plains is
wall.
to yeah, I guess you're right. But so Mayuan is just supposed to be northern China. Right? It's supposed to be northern China.
Right.
They haven't talked about like rice or anything, and they've talked about millet and wheat, which is accurate. Right? That's correct, because you can't grow rice here. If they said they grow rice, I would have been tilted as fuck.
Yes, growing
Join-
rice in a mostly
Little
salt
things.
iron arid
Join
wasteland.
me, Dan. Join me in the severely tilted corner.
and then so they've talked about like noodles and buns, which are like lamb and mutton. Yeah, I mean this is
Okay.
northern China.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I see nothing wrong with what they've written there. What I really dislike is like the use of short swords from horseback. They haven't talked about bows or anything really efficient. And then they had this like silly proverb: stubborn to anger, as unstoppable as the typhoon, which is spelt incorrectly.
It spelled like you would spell it in Japanese.
Yeah, which is like also this is China.
Yeah.
And bright before heaven in their stupid honesty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they do they continue along this pattern of referencing things that the reader has no idea about. What is the copper dragon of Tross?
Yeah. Sounds cool though.
It sounds dope.
Sounds like a magic. Sounds like a magic card. Like you
Yeah, so-
cast
You
this
know,
for
yeah,
like
totally.
2 red.
It's just like, yeah, and
I was
the
thinking-
GM
yeah.
puts down the mini on the table. It's like, and then you fight the copper dragon of Tross. Like, that's pretty dope.
Well, demon, but yeah,
God,
it's
sorry,
yeah.
copper demon
I
of
was
Tross.
thinking,
Sorry,
I was thinking black
dragon.
red though, Michelle.
no black red. Yeah, copper. Yeah, black red. Some kind of sacrifice, like
Oh,
pinging
gotta be
effect.
sacrifice artifact ability. You know,
Sacrifice
gotta be
artifact
top-
ability to like do 2 damage or something. That'd be so busted.
So,
yeah.
so when Magic the Gathering comes out with the D&D set like they've announced, we're gonna see Copper Demon of Tross,
I mean, here's hoping, right?
Right.
and one of us is gonna try to make a Kara-Tur deck. Is that that's what's gonna happen?
Oh my god! Is there
God.
are there going to be Kara-Tur cards?
I don't
Like
know,
that-
'cause
No, we don't know.
when that
I'll
when
let
that,
you guys spend the money on that.
well,
I can bet you though, Michelle, that when we do that episode, we'll probably be brainstorming about what Elementor's colors are going to be.
Oh my god! White,
Blue because wizard.
blue, maybe.
Red because of the roguishness. Because in Elminster's history, he was a roguish
is
character.
Elminster just gonna
so-
be
But
all of the colors?
Blue. It has a lot of blue has a lot of roguish types though.
True.
Like spell thief. Like there's a lot of like
Yeah.
taking things.
True.
So I think white, blue.
Blue white.
Yeah, blue white.
So
Sorry.
to take it back.
Sorry.
That's
Yeah.
okay. That's okay. I sent us on this diversion. So to take it back to the plate of the horse, one of the things that I've noticed with this is that there's really not that much on horses here.
No.
Nope.
And
Lot of
nothing to
cattle.
suggest that it could support, yeah, like already said, it could support livestock.
Yeah.
Like a plane and a salt plane are 2 different things.
And-
those are
horses-
those are two different
Yeah.
biomes that that
Yeah.
are not what you think they are.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like most of the like I don't know, pastoralist sort of
Mhm.
plains are steppe plains. That's what we have in like northern Asia.
Yeah.
hmm
That Lus Plateau that we talked about last time.
Yeah. And like I don't know enough of like you said, this could be northern China, but I feel like it's super coded as Mongolia.
But they've also said that the plane of horses and the barbarians of the plane of horses, I feel like that's supposed to be Mongolia, right?
So this is actually like this is bothering me name wise. So my yuan is called the plain of horses, and when I was initially looking at the map, I was up in the horse plains
Oh,
because
hmm
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
there's
That's-
an
this
actual
is initially-
horse
Yeah,
plane.
so when
And
you
then
said
there's
west,
a
when you
Mayuan,
said
and you're like,
west, yeah, when you said west, I was like, okay, I'm just gonna agree with you, but like Horse Plains is west, but south of Chuke is Mayuan,
Yeah. So
Plane of
so
the
they have a
horse
plane
and the
of
horse
horses,
planes.
and then they have a horse planes.
So
Oh my god.
Who did this to me? I am angry.
so here's the thing. So
Okay, fine, all right.
the Tuigan are actually the Mongolians because they are in the remember there's that endless waste in the
Mhm.
Forgotten
Yeah,
Realms.
yeah.
Those are the Mongolians. That's not this.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
these are like the civilized.
I think these are
Mongolians? Like
this is like the last bastion of show. They're literally the people in northern China that are literally the people who built the wall and maintained the wall. And but they also have horses because
Honestly, this sounds like proto Crab Clan.
yeah, it's kind of like Crab Clan.
Yeah.
Just looking at this and then looking at because a lot of the characteristics that they mention here were carried forward to the Crab Clan in Rokugan. Like if you look at it, very stubborn, huge, like these are this feels like a proto
Wall.
Crab Clan.
Sorry.
I just never
The
thought
way
that
you
we'd
said
be
a wall.
talking about
Proto
L5R.
crab. You bring up Crab Clan all the time.
No, but not in
You-
Kara-Tur.
Yeah, you do.
Okay,
Also,
Also-
fine.
you regularly bring up out of nowhere. Crab Clan, Fast and the Furious.
Emma
There
has
we
like this
go.
roster in the corner, just like things we always talk
thing-
about.
thing-
Yeah,
Daniel
tallying
says.
for
Things Daniel says. Things to roast Daniel about.
I wanna-
The note clearly says Crab Clan on one particular sticky note. It's just that.
I want to bring up
Underlines.
too. So they mentioned Minlo is a small city. This also kind of bothers me because this Minlo is directly on the Spice Road and it borders the next southernmost province.
Yeah.
Yeah, it goes
this
into
should be a major population hub in this
Yeah,
province,
especially
in
if
this
it's,
region.
especially if it's one of the major roads for trade. Yeah.
Absolutely.
This is one of those things that I know like all world builders, I won't say all, many world builders do wrong is they just throw around the word city. They're like city, village, town, without really thinking about the scale that these words imply. A small city is like, that's a lot of people.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
It's at least like 50,000, 20,000.
And like
something
minor
like that.
trade city, it is the only major hub along the Spice Road that runs through this province.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it would be huge.
And they talk about Yenqin, which and the in context of the text, it appears that Yenqin might be a bigger hub because it has a direct connection to the barbarians. That does not have any road connection.
Yeah, so how would you
into-
get military reinforcements there or anything?
Into what is this province? This next southern province, is this Qingtung or something?
Qingtung, yeah.
Yeah,
Qing-
so Yenqin, like, it looks like it should have road access connecting it to this Shouquan city in the Qingtung province, but it doesn't. If it did, I could believe that, yes, that could potentially be another major hub, but both of these cities, I feel, should be fairly large, just because of where they sit geographically. Just, again,
Yeah.
there's no friggin' road on Yenqing, justifying that one being bigger than Minlo.
I think they're justifying it as because it's connected by a river, so it's like that's where the major port transfers happen is through the
Mhm.
river, which is probably the only. But even so, it's like if there should be another access road besides the river because you can't just have you have redundancies in your trade routes.
So I went to the trail map to see if they had made any amendments, and they did not. They did not. But yeah,
Narrator,
it's
they did not.
it's odd. It's odd. And I know that
Yeah.
like I know that it's very difficult for people to, like D&D maps or maps in general, that they are both an art and a science. They
Yes.
really are. And I only know a handful of really good cartographers who work in this space, right? A good pal of mine, Mark Richardson, Slave to the Hat on Twitter, is probably my favorite TTRPG cartographer, who's also Canadian. Yeah, way to go, Mark. He's also my GM on Saturdays. But the thing about Mark is that Mark is a cartographer for the Canadian government. So he works for Environment Canada, and he literally maps for a living, and like knows the science of mapping and understands how things can flow. But not everybody has that kind of knowledge when they're making a fantasy map. And there are also not people who are thinking about like the logistics of this. Like, oh yes, this Yanqing is the they're known for their fine horses and cattle, and it's a trade city with the northern barbarians. Also, aren't we trying to keep out the barbarians? Right? But then if they're fighting the barbarians, wouldn't this be a military city? Would this be a fortress? Would they not locate this maybe closer to, Khazari? There are a lot of really strange things here. With this map, I would have, especially since they put Low 2 on the map. I don't know if you folks, right by the wall.
That should have been the military city.
That should have been the military city, and I would have loved information on that, right?
Is Low 2 even mentioned in here? I
Nope, it's
missed
not.
it. Okay.
It's not.
Okay,
And also,
so I didn't miss it.
it would also still need a major road attached to it because supply reasons.
Yeah, or they could have been like, oh, these people were literally, this is a forgotten city, or it fell into ruin after an attack, and then they just cut it off, right? But there's no information. There's no information.
There's no information. Nope.
Now
I'm actually looking up Low 2 on the wiki right now.
Yeah, while you do that, I'm gonna continue.
Yeah, we should keep moving.
Yeah, we should keep moving.
So, Qingtung, the land. Qingtung reaches from the edge of the salt plain, moving south through sloping grasslands into the fertile valley between the Hangse and Qingtung rivers. Following the Hangse River northwest, the Silver Road runs through Tabet and eventually into the Forgotten Realms, although unknown hazards make this a perilous journey. It is along this basin that most of the village and river traffic flows south into Huangquo province, seat of the imperial throne. The history. During the Li dynasty, the creation of the Dragon Wall made this region safe from incursions of many horse barbarians. With its fertile river basin, many stands of trees, and available grazing areas, Qinglong became home to many farming clans, particularly the Qing, who had suffered much oppression under the rule of the Han dynasty. The people. The largest ethnic group outside the people of Huangquo, the Qing are characterized by others as being clannish, pushy, and adventurous to a fault. This doesn't bother them at all, as they consider Qingtung to be the center of the universe. They are more night owls than most show, fond of staying up late to drink in the wine shops and talk about all manner of current events. They are fond of experimenting with new foods, although they loathe lamb and mutton, often mixing tropical fruits and meats from the Southlands into their favorite dishes. One of the favorite Qing dishes is hot and spicy stewed snake with pineapple. Sorry,
Why
Michelle.
isn't that in the cookbook?
Michelle, your face. Sorry, I would collect myself.
I'm sorry. I'm just like I feel like I'm turning into Mackenzie.
Yeah.
Just like
Cities or places of note. Shuoquan, a major city, sits astride the Ningtang Road from Yanqing. Taitung is a major river city of the southern end of the First Emperor's Canal. Shangtou, a small backwater farming town, has achieved fame for its fine tea and rice. Of special interest are the river cities. These are located along the heavily journeyed Hangse River Basin and are well known to all Shou citizens. They include Mishan, a small northern river city noted for its waterfalls, the great Changtao Shrine to Kuan Yin, Toming, weird apostrophe, a trade city and home to the Emperor's Summer Palace, and Champhao, detailed in this volume, a prosperous river town, home to the White Tiger Monastery and the martial arts school of Master Wang Ho. Okay.
I will give them some credit. The map doesn't show it, but apparently there is a road from Yanqing into this province. So I'm glad someone thought about it.
Okay, so the road does exist. They just didn't put it on the map. Maybe a mistake. there's a lot more detail in Qingtang than there was in Mayuan or Chukei.
The impression, honestly, I get with my Yuan and Chukei is that they're throwaway.
Yeah.
They're not really
Yeah.
expecting you to do anything with it, so they just kind of threw it on a page and left it there.
I'm just there. I sorry. I'm just like, okay. So point number one, tea doesn't grow in a valley. Most Chinese tea plantations are in mountains. Yeah, so that makes me upset. But also just like, again, what's with these? I'm not certain if this area has like a real world analog, but what I just don't understand like what's with the characterization of this group, like experimenting with new foods. I mean, they're more night owls. Like, I don't understand like why this is here.
It seems like kind of flavor for flavor's sake, where they're trying to give them
Yeah.
some interesting hooks that you can interact with.
The only thing one of the things that just rubbed me very wrong was the fact that they decided to do a dish and basically try to make it as exotic sounding as humanly possible by shoving in snake and pineapple, which
Snakes and
It's
pineapples.
hot and spicy
It's
stewed
hot and
snake with
spicy stewed
pineapple.
steak. Yeah.
And I'm just
and by
like
the way, no one
that,
stews snakes, they fry them.
Yeah.
or they make a soup.
Or make a soup, exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you don't stew it.
I think this
It-
this section suffers from the classic AD&D affliction of we're just gonna throw a shit ton of useless detail at you.
Yeah.
It's like cities or
Yeah.
places of note, and bam, 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 bam. And then
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
like names of places that we are very unlikely to talk about in any relevant detail later on. This entire campaign setting really suffers from this very ambitious scale that they set, and they filled it with almost nothing. It's like the high school essay or the undergraduate essay where you're just trying to buffer your word count.
Been there, definitely been there.
And we've all been
Yeah,
there.
we've all been there.
I move the margins just this much.
But with this one, it's like I think the worst part of it is the people. It's the people section, not the people.
Yeah, the
but
they don't
people
really tell you
section-
anything.
Well,
They don't really
it's-
tell you anything.
They're
It-
clannish. What clannish?
What is that?
I guess they stick to themselves. Like they don't really trust anyone who's really outside the Wang Kuo. Like yeah, it's I mean they don't trust anyone who's in Qing. And also like I really would appreciate if the section could decide whether or not it wants the apostrophe. Like
Yeah,
If-
I love how
In their defense, that ch apostrophe ing was used a lot in Western scholarship of China.
oh no, I mean the very beginning, it's like
Oh,
it
they
doesn't
missed it
have
as well.
They didn't.
Yeah,
use
That's what
it,
I'm
yeah,
saying.
they
It's
switched back to
inconsistent.
it.
You're right.
It's back and forth, and I'm just like, can you please make up
Also,
your mind?
I'm gonna
Also,
say
they
I'm
need-
gonna say that's an editorial slip. I think that's an editorial slip.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Yeah, it looks like they just dropped it. in
There's also a
one
very
instance.
profound usage of semicolons, and I'm just like, please just use the period at this stage.
I think of that Lonely Island song, semicolon.
Yeah.
So I do want to. So this is, I feel like, there's an explicit reference to kind of xenophobia, mistrust of outsiders, and describing these particular people as clannish. So I think we should at least note this
Mhm.
and see how often this shows up in other descriptions too.
Yeah, I mean they've talked
Right.
about. I mean, one of the things that you see a lot of in Asian campaign settings is they take this idea of like family and clan and they just really go ham in subdividing the people. There's like, oh, martial arts sects, different temples, clans. They go really hard in actually dividing everyone like that. What I really dislike is like, okay, so they're like, okay, this is our opportunity to talk about the people of this land, right? So like, okay, what are we gonna say? You know, they're really into their clans. They're all pushy, and they're adventurous to a fault.
We're all night owls.
And they're all night owls who
Night
just like to
owls.
drink in wine
Drinking-
shops.
Eat
And this
strange.
is the second largest ethnic group in the region.
Yeah.
Which, and then you're getting into some of the bioessentialism too, of like this entire ethnic group is like this. But yeah,
It's it's a very odd choice. Like, yeah, oh yeah, they're all night owls. Even the children love to stay up late and gossip about current events. It's like, what is this?
Is
Yeah,
supposed to be like
That's like everyone though. It's not
Or
like
it's-
anything
the
exclusive.
reason why it seems so weird is because there's no context for it. Like there's no like, oh, because like of the weather or because of where
Ah.
they live, like or
Mhm.
like some kind of
Right.
lifestyle habit that means
Right.
that you would end up staying up, like things like that, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't
Like,
have a
if this
context
is like
for
a
this.
region that's right, yeah, there's no context.
there's
Yeah.
yeah
It's just
That's why
these
it's just
people
like-
are like this. Why?
Yeah.
Yeah.
they just sit
Yeah, they
around and
just
eat
are.
stewed
it,
snake.
Like it would make sense if like it's because this region is very affluent because it's between two major trade
Yeah.
rivers, it's between a
Mhm.
major trade route, and because of that, people are more affluent, so they are more prone to like be lavish and actually spend more. And because of that, they don't have to really work as hard, and so they can just spend more time enjoying themselves.
Yeah, or you could just say like, hey, look, the weather is cooler at night, and so
Right.
they enjoy this, or they
yeah.
Or it's a product of the trading system that
Yeah.
you have to be available at all hours and business is done over socializing. Like
And
things
Yeah.
are open late because business is always happening.
and
Yeah.
they could even easily explain the culinary aspect of this by saying like, because it is a major trade route, you know, this group of the city is always trying new fusions of things like this snake thing, although I don't think they
Unless
could have
it's
done the snake
lamb,
thing.
in which
Unless
case,
it's
yeah,
lamb,
like,
like,
wow.
Lamb or mutton.
There's like no explanation as to why, like, oh no,
Yeah.
that lamb though.
GTFO
no,
with that
I
lamb.
mean, this is like an
Eat the
it's
lamb.
to me-
Snake or
So
bust.
to me, that feels like an inbred classism that they're trying to shoehorn in because of the
Right.
fact that
Yeah.
the mutton and everything else is done with everyone up north, and they're like, this is like this classism divide right here that they're
Yeah.
that's being
Right.
written.
but
in.
also, how do you say an entire people dislike lamb and mutton?
Yeah. That they're adventurous to a fault but won't eat
Won't
that.
eat yeah.
That sheep.
It's just
though.
like I'll gladly run up this mountain to go slay the dragon, but I will not eat lamb. Also, lamb skewers, hella bomb, so good.
Yeah.
yeah,
they
they're-
are good.
Lamb
I
is
mean,
good.
I mean, yeah. Mm.
Yeah, I
So
feel
I'm
like there's a lot
trying
of
to-
unspoken references or like unspoken implications that it seems like they want to say it or in the text, but then they didn't say. So then, therefore, it just becomes confusing. But I think like these kind of like the things that were the inferences we're drawing on, like, oh yeah, no lamb because that's the people in the countryside. That's what they eat. Like
Yeah.
we only eat pineapples because those are exotic because we can, like these kind of things are now that we're actually thinking about it, it's like, okay, I guess that makes sense, but it wasn't actually in the text, therefore it's not great as like a setting supplement.
Yeah.
So
it's like they
I
try to create a
s-
hierarchy of diet.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
hmm
So I'm looking also at the Silver Road here. So I see it. So I guess it goes into this Hungstay River, and then the road just becomes the river. Am I reading slash seeing
Which
this
one is
right?
the Silver Road? Is it the one that comes from Kazari?
Because they
It's
mentioned
from-
that the
it's from-
Silver
it's-
Road goes into Tabit, which is the
Right, so it's close to the
Nelson
Tabit side, and
province.
you're gonna see Mishan and Tu Ming, and that's the Silver Road right there.
Oh,
and
I
it
see.
actually goes
Ah.
pretty far. It curves pretty far into Wangko, and then curves back out to Chu Yun.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
So
And it-
so it follows the river to a certain degree.
But it
Yeah, 'cause
curves.
it says it hooks
curves
into Tabit, and I'm trying to find that because it just like from the
just-
map, it
it
looks like
goes-
it just goes into Chuyan.
Well, yeah, it goes all the way into the ocean. Like if you
Yeah,
follow
well,
this road, it
yeah.
goes all the way south.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
There-
the red dot lines are the province separators. So
Yeah,
like,
those
if
are
you
the-
follow
those are
blue
the-
line.
Political boundaries.
by
Yeah, so
all
if you-
logic, there should be a city at the end of that. At the end of that trail.
Nope, it just goes into the water.
It's
No,
the
it
sea.
just goes into the water.
There's one person who's like, where are we supposed to go? And it's Michael Scott, and the GPS is telling
Yes,
him to turn
and the
right,
GPS just keeps
and
going.
it just keeps going.
Well,
There's
there
a
is
lake.
a city. There is a city
This
at the
literally-
mouth of the rivers for the Celestial Sea, and it's just really hard to see because because of the contrast
Ah.
of colors.
Mm.
It's
Ah.
hold on, I have to really zoom in for this. I can't
Okay,
even.
this is where I think the trail map is a higher quality scan, and I'm looking at the trail
It's-
map, and there's
yeah.
this the Tung Pu Road just kind of ends. There's nothing at the end of it on the high res Kara-Tur trail
Yeah.
map. It just kind of ends there. It's odd. There are odd choices. Like if you look at the Patan region, there's that
Mhm.
Turtawa forest, and then there's the Turkut forest, and there's this little city called Durkon, which is like a super fantasy name, Durkon. And then
Yeah.
there's this road that just kind of is there for a bit
Goes.
and then just ends.
Yep.
If you-
Also, too, so when they say the Silver Road runs through Tabet, which I think is the mountain range, and eventually into the Forgotten Realms, so that into the Forgotten Realms means that this road will lead you to Abertoral, right? To
Yes.
the classics. Okay. Because I do see, like, looking at the high res, and I think this is actually helping looking at it. You see like the solid brown line, so obviously that's the Silver Road, and then you see kind of a dotted brown line running alongside the river.
Yep.
Hmm.
So okay, so that's like also a road, I guess.
Yeah, they're lesser roads.
Okay.
They're lesser roads.
We should look. Is there a legend on this?
Yeah, there's a legend in the bottom right, I think.
Yeah, it's pretty far on the bottom right.
Yeah.
I'll get there as soon as my computer will appreciate the file size enough to permit.
Okay, so solid browns are considered roads, and dotted
Trails.
browns are trails, are actual trails.
Hiking.
So if it's a trail, that implies that you could not be moving goods across this road. If it's
Probably
mostly walking
not.
paths.
Presumably, yeah.
Presumably, unless you're really, really desperate.
Yeah.
So with that in mind, then this Silver Road makes no goddamn sense.
The Silver Road doesn't make sense. It seems as though they missed a branch. Maybe they missed because it does branch, right? It's odd
does.
because if you follow the Silver Road and it goes south to Chutong, it then branches to go to Liping, and it continues to Suizheng, and then they both branches go back to Pingtung. So there's this
Yep.
like sort of triad there. But I feel like there's a branch that's supposed to follow that river into Tabet, or at least follow the river alongside Tabet, where it would lead to what's this?
Like
Moira?
Taishan, somewhere in Tabet, somewhere like
Yeah.
that.
I'm thinking like see where the label is underneath Tabet. There's this little section here where there's Chofan and there's
Oh yeah.
Bidnap So.
Well, and there are roads connect for that, but I don't think they even label the road, like what road
Oh
it
god,
is.
there's a city called Uchan.
But there's a
The
road that
apostrophe Chan.
there's a road that cuts through the mountain underneath the T in Tabet. It's very
Yeah,
difficult
there
to
is.
see, but that
Yeah.
road goes into that Tabet region, this forest,
Yep.
and
Mhm.
doesn't even lead to Taishan, which would, like you said, Jacky, would make the most sense to be a hub for the Silver Road to go through.
Yeah, I don't see these Tabet roads connecting to the Silver Road at all. Like
They don't.
They're not. None of them do. Because there's they like for whatever reason, Tabet has its own network of roads that is not connected to any major other roads or even the river. Or like I don't know. It just doesn't make a whole lot of sense as to why you would have no roads connecting to, because Taishan is actually labeled as a city because a circle around a dot is a city, and then
Mhm.
anything else that's a dot is a village. So why would you link villages together but not a city?
Yeah, there is. What's the solid red line? Because the dotted red lines on this map are political borders. But the solid red line, because there is a solid red line that runs from Qingtung
Yeah.
all the way through Tabet.
I don't know. Like it doesn't stay, because the only solid lines on the legend are the roads, and then that's it.
Yeah, because it identifies the border as the broken line, but yeah, there's no solid. Is that a
a different trail, road, whatever.
or hold on.
It's just
Could
maybe-
it be that the solid lines are actually the lines delineating? I think this might be it. Those are the borders of the country of Sholung, if I'm not
Oh.
mistaken.
Oh.
So these Tabet settlements are outside of
Oh
this
yeah, that makes a
empire.
lot of sense. If you zoom
sense.
out and you follow
Yeah.
this solid line, the dragon wall follows the solid
Mhm.
line. Oh, you're right. Yeah, that's the
Okay,
border.
so that's the geopolitical borders.
Yeah, that
of-
is the national border,
yeah.
not the provincial
So-
border.
Yeah, so I guess Taishan technically falls under its own province. I guess. Oh, so it's the UA is the one they use, and then Tabit is just a bunch of villages.
Yeah, a bunch of villages outside the empire.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. This is a very confusing map. But let's move to Shang-Ti. So Shang-Ti is on the western side. It's
Sanctuary provinces.
Sanctuary Province. It's very small.
Yeah.
The Grand Emperor's Canal runs through it into the west, kind of north of Hangzhou. So Shang-Ti is mostly rolling hills with terraces used for extensive rice farming. Ooh, A+ right there. There are many deep caverns and small, thick forests, teeming with all types of creatures, good and ill. Shang-Ti is well known to be the home of many Henga yokai clans. This is how they've tied it into Oriental Adventures, because the Henga yokai are a thing in Oriental Adventures.
Well, Wujen as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So that makes sense for what they're trying to say here. Whether it's right or not, it's not right. When the original inhabitants,
It's not
To
right.
be clear. To be clear.
It is not.
To be clear.
No.
when the original inhabitants of the First Kingdom were driven south, they entered this area as exhausted refugees. The natives taught the survivors the techniques of rice farming, moving the empire into an entirely new basis for food production. Up to this time, the main food had been millet. Over the centuries, the two groups assimilated, though not without bloodshed. In time, this became the seat of the reborn empire. The people of Shang-Ti are small, snub-nosed, and extremely fastidious. This delicacy reflects in many aspects of the Shang culture, producing fine poets, jade sculpture, and elaborate ceremonies. The province is also famed for its beautiful women. Fine-boned, elegant, and decorative, the Shang courtesan is the subject of much lyric song and poetry. There are also a large number of spirit folk and Henga yokai living in this verdant, wooded area, and it is rumored that the Shang owe much of their elegant and diminutive stature to the influence of these peoples. Indeed, the cities of Shang-Ti are among the few in the empire where foxfolk and other Henga yokai citizens walk about openly, even in their bipedal forms. Cities or places of note. On the coast is Loshan, a moderate-sized seaport city with trade to Wa and Kozakura. Further inland is Sifeng, the site of the second imperial capital, noted for the fortress of Kwai, a huge stone castle rumored to have been raised by giants. Oh, we know about that. Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That was,
Yeah.
Do we have time for a side rant?
I think this whole thing, like this whole stream is a side rant. So
Yeah.
Really, yeah.
I feel like that's just the series we should do. It should just be called Side Rant.
Side rant where we just go off on something and then see where the tangent takes us. Anyway, Emma gave me approval. I'm holding you to this.
I go for it.
I am.
I'm not the host of this show.
So tired. I'm so tired of there's something about the D&D writing that they love to just insert references to sex work because he hookers or something, and I'm just so tired. I'm so tired.
Yeah.
Yeah. I get that like being a courtesan is that was a real thing, and it brought with it but I think that the implications of these are very, very nice, high end, most beautiful in all the land, courtesans. And it also just ties into the exotification of East Asian women, right? This is it's and it's couched in all of these sentences about like, oh, they're small, they jade sculptures, elaborate ceremonies, like these are all like the finer things in life, and among the finer things in life are these beautiful women. And
The beautiful women, and then like in the same breath saying, also they'll sleep with you for money.
Yep.
Aren't you?
Yeah.
Get excited, players.
Yeah, it's like lyric, song, and poetry, and it's like now we have more like we're actively fighting nowadays to like actively push back on that idea of like sex work being like looked down upon, but the combination of this plus the beautiful women plus the elaborate ceremonies and the small subnotes and extremely fastidious, followed then by like the implication that some of these people are probably of mixed heritage. I think that's how I sort of interpret it. Mixed heritage with like some of these hangi yokai. It's like, ooh, exotic, part maybe fox folk, hangi yokai women. And it's just again like the blatant objectification of and fetishization of like Asian women. It's
a potpourri of harmful stereotypes, if you will.
It's like looking at a very problematic necklace where it's all like all these like gorgeous gems of like sadness are being propped up by other sad pretty gems. I don't know how else to
and then hung around the neck of the emperor.
Yes.
Yeah.
Make a strike check. Make a strike check.
Yeah.
Here's the thing with the way they've kind of framed the people sections of each of these. They're like, oh, so if you look at Ching Tung, they say the people here are clannish, pushy, adventurous to a fault. They're talking about their like personalities and their activities. Go to Ma Yuan. The people here are hardy, stolid, and reliable, right? And then they go here and they're like, they're snub-nosed, they're small, they're fastidious. And in each of these people sections, they have really missed the opportunity to say, this is what the culture is like in this province, right? It's like, having traveled around China, each province is different. The food is different. Maybe their dialect, the way they speak is different, right? In China, like go to Shanghai, and the people in Shanghai, the Shanghainese, is just like, well, that's just a different language to me, right?
Well, I mean, the same could be said of the U.S. and Canada too, right?
Exactly.
Like, culture changes so rapidly as you move through it.
But instead, they have kind of taken that idea of culture changing rapidly between, political borders, to saying the people are changing, their personalities.
It's a physiology. It's like a physiological thing.
Right. As opposed to this is being the culture of people who live in these regions are typically seen as this.
Or you could say, they could have said like, oh, Shang-Chi is far away from the barbarian invaders, and therefore the people of this province have not been exposed to the wars and the conflict that have ravaged the other ones. Therefore, they have focused on the arts, right?
Yeah.
And you could say that instead of saying, oh, yes, these people are like dainty, and they're probably mixed heritage with the Fae, and therefore art. Like there's not enough context to why they are fine poets and why jade sculpture and elaborate ceremonies. Because here they said they're very skilled at jade sculpture. What if Shang-Chi, also they called this the sanctuary province. They haven't explained why. But what if this province was literally home to various rich jade mines? And therefore they are very wealthy, but also very skilled at carving. But they just said they're good at carving jade.
Yeah,
I think there's
and
a little,
and you can connect that with like, oh well, because of that, there's also a jade trade because they're right at the sea. They connect with Wa. They do trade with Wa and Kozakora. So there's a lot of wealth being flown in, and it's like, so you have a little bit of everything tied into that. It's like, well, they're artisanal. They're very cosmopolitan.
Sorry,
I think
Emma,
you were
Emma, go ahead, please.
Yeah.
there are several things going on here. One, their history is just a colonialism.
Yes.
And a very a very
I'm stealing that
interesting
phrase.
one. And then the description of the people, I know some of these things get applied broadly across like East Asian and Asian women, but some of this stuff is really, to me, sounding like how Japanese people in particular were characterized in the mid to late 1800s when Japan reopened and Europeans started going in and recording what they saw as a diminutive fairy folk that were childlike and magical and just had this quaint and charm about them. So all of this just sounds like a European guy characterizing Japan for the first time in like 18 whatever.
I mean,
So
those
some of these things have a
stereotypes
long history.
persisted in American culture. So I mean, you
They
may
still
be on
do.
the money here, right? And
Yeah.
that they and that's just literally what they were taking.
Yeah.
I feel like it should be said, and I think we've kind of danced around it a bit. Looking at this kind of as a whole, I think what we're seeing here is D&D's tendency to ascribe racial personality as opposed to culture. It's treating, I feel like they're treating a lot of these, and it's very pronounced in Shang-Chi because it brings up the Hengyokai, who are explicitly a different race with their own biological traits. But just reading through these and then just trying to step back a bit, it feels like for each of these provinces, the lens that they're using is basically each province is home to a different race of some sort within the greater Show Empire. So they all have these traits, this personality, this whatever, this society, whatever, that is inherent to them, as opposed to of the culture. And it's a common D&D approach that you see. It's just in this case, you don't have like elves and dwarves and whatever. You have everyone's nominally human, but they're still applying that same bioessentialist racial and racist logic to these different peoples.
Yeah, it's I wholeheartedly agree. I mean, like I feel like I'm honestly reading. This is very similar to back in the day when I was like, I want to learn about different kinds of dogs, and like, well, pit bulls are like this, and like golden retrievers are like this, and it's like they are. It's like personality and culture are a biological genetic product as opposed to a cultural like background upbringing like product, if that makes sense. Like this is like if you have a snub nose and whatnot, like you're inherently going to be like this, and it's I rage flames.
Yeah.
This may help speed us up though if we just kind of acknowledge that this is what's going on.
Oh yeah,
we can now call it out and be mad about it, but not have to kind of rewind ourselves up every time now that we're kind of seeing this through line here.
It's like this racist. Okay.
yeah. So let's move on to Wa Kan, the land that views Wa. Where is this on the map?
And this is
okay.
Just again of Shang-Chi.
I just want to point out though, when you said Wa Kan and then this is the land that views Wa, and I went, the fact that they actually use the word Kan as in the Chinese verb for to see with Wa, and I'm like, why? It hurts my head.
But the apostrophe is between the K and the AN as opposed to between
different.
the
walk on.
It's like Can?
Yeah, it's walk on. Yeah.
Walk on. Oh no.
And this is a very small province.
It's very
this is
small.
just the
It's
peninsula.
walk on, walk off. Is that what we got now?
Okay, so let's okay, so there's the cities and places of note. Ooh, I read ahead. The land rises from the borders of Shang-Chi, finally reaching the sea in a series of towering white bluffs. The coast is broken by many deep inlets and coves, good for fishing and gathering pearls. On clear days, the locals like to claim that they can see the blue-black misty outlines of distant Wa. History. In the migration from the north, many of the displaced tribes and minor kingdoms found their way to the coast. Here they settled, retaining their old allegiances. Soon, the many petty nobles began to war among themselves for land and position. There were several divisions at this time, and the conflict spread. Wakan became the buffer state between the noble clans of the empire. Over the years, Wakan grew as a refuge for people caught between the conflict. With its long and secret military ties to Wa, it was able to maintain its neutrality for many centuries. The people of Wakan are known as the Waka and are in stature much like the T, something they bitterly protest whenever possible. They are a
Referencing
mixture.
something that we haven't seen yet.
Yeah, they are a mixture of the poetry of the Sheng and the hard-headedness of the T, moody and fond of strong drink. The Waka are mostly fishermen who ply the sheltered coves and inlets of the rocky land, scraping out a modest living. Cities or places of note. Xiang, a small seaport town, is noteworthy for its fine fish. It is also a favorite refuge of Wa nobles fleeing oppression. All right. So we should talk about
Jacky.
first. We should talk about Wa, because the islands of Wa are across the Celestial Sea, near Kozakura.
Yes.
Which we do not know anything about yet.
That's in a different volume.
That's in a different volume.
Yeah,
See, by
that's a
volume,
different book.
so by volume 2. So
And Kozakura is Japan, right?
No, Kozakura is Korea.
no, Koryo.
Oh.
Koryo is
No,
Korea.
Korea's
Korea, right.
Korea. Kozakura is
What's
Japan, I
Kozakura?
believe.
Kozakura
Yeah.
is Japan. Wa.
Yeah, Kozakura
okay.
looks
Really-
like Japan.
Wa-
So what's
is
really
Japan.
interesting to me is that the word "wa" is like in historical Chinese writing, like that refers to people in Japan,
Yeah.
Mhm.
or like
Mhm.
wo, not wa, but you know,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
it's really similar. So
And
that
yeah, in
is
history
what stood
that
out to me.
is South Central Japan. Like the Kingdom of Wa is a particular chunk of what's now the Japanese archipelago.
Okay.
So, yeah. Either way, it's Japan.
Yeah. But it's like
Or
it's like
the land that's looking at Japan.
but it's literally
Yes.
like the whole
The-
this
the title
region
that's-
and their
yeah.
identity is like, yeah, we're the people and we can see Japan. That's
Yeah, no, and plus, like I said, like "kan" is like literally the Chinese word for look or to view or to see. It's literally you. They somehow worded it exactly as that.
I think
I
that's
can see
intentional.
Japan
I
from
don't
my
feel like
house.
that's. I don't feel like that's that weird though. Like I do feel
It's
like
not,
a lot
but
of
it's
places
just,
have like
I just find the
really
happenstance
weird.
of that. I don't know if that was intentional or not.
I think I agree with you, Agatha. Go ahead.
Like people like name their like towns and like places have really weird names like that, especially the like, oh, you can see this or you can see that. Like I've definitely
Literal.
been to places that are, it's like you can see this mountain, so therefore this place is called like Sea Mountain, or like see that particular mountain and stuff like that. So I don't think that, I feel like of all the stuff that we've come across so far, this is the one that makes the most sense to me. And
Yeah.
there's like political and economic reasons for like people being there and stuff like that. I was like, oh, okay, all right.
I think the only thing that's odd about it is okay. So it's like, how are we going to describe these people? We are not going to describe them in their own unique way. We're going to say, yeah, they're artistic like their neighbors, but they're also like, they also love to drink like these other people. It's like,
I need to step away from cam for 1 second.
Yeah, no
I'll-
worries.
I'll be right back.
but it's like, what makes them? I really want to know what makes them unique. But instead,
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
said this is what makes them similar to others, right? How has their like, this is a really cool opportunity to be like, have they adopted more of the culture of Wa? Do they have, since they have a lot of connection to Kozakura? Like, do they dress more like the people of Kozakura? Or like, this is a missed opportunity. But I agree, Agatha. It's
Mhm.
like, this one also makes sense. But like they have in every other one that we've read, the people section really falls short. Because
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
something that people don't think about. They don't think about,
Yeah.
well, how does this culture actually work, and what are the signifiers of this culture, and where did these signifiers develop from, and how can we tie the culture section to the history section?
Yeah.
All we're getting from the Waka, which is feels weird as a name for people in this part of the world. I'm not sure maybe that's just me, But I'm just getting like, this is what's unique about this place in terms of its people are that they are emo drunk fishermen. Like that is
Yeah,
it.
and there's a lot of like,
That's all we got.
and there are a lot of really like lords who are fleeing oppression here.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
drunk emo nobles, also fishermen.
But
Yeah.
I think it would also be interesting if they kind of wove that into the story. So if there are a lot of nobles from Wa who are just constantly coming into to show, right? Because they've already established that there is a centralized government. I mean, this trail map has a very, very comprehensive breakdown of the government of Shoulung. Yet, the government involvement in anything here is never mentioned. So, like, if you have nobles from a neighboring land seeking asylum here, why isn't the show government intervening? Or why hasn't Wa been like, yo, send us back these people? Like, why isn't there's this political tension between the two? It's just like,
Right.
yeah, come on over.
Yeah, and this
Because they drink. Because that's what
Why
they do.
isn't the
They're drinking.
the seaport more prosperous if it's this direct connection to Wa and to Kozakura? You'd
Yeah,
think
it
there'd be a
says that-
lot of
You would
flow of goods
Look,
and
And it says
Earlier-
that they have like military connection,
Mhm.
right? So
Yeah, well,
they,
yeah.
for some reason they have some kind of power, like local power, where they
They
can.
should.
yeah,
But
They
have you-
have military ties, secret military ties to Wa. So it's like, oh, they're meant to look like they have this modest life, but secretly they're being
But
funded
just-
by the Wa.
it's like hard not to take random bits that kind of match with things I know about the real world. We've talked about this before, but like throughout history, the South Islands and Taiwan running in between Japan, like the base of like Japanese centralized power and Chinese centralized power. Like there's a lot going on in those islands, and I feel like this is a clumsy attempt to cover those
Oh,
in
that's
between
really
spaces.
interesting.
Yeah, that.
Oh,
yeah.
I didn't see
Because-
that at all,
Yeah.
but that is very interesting.
Because a lot of those islands like Okinawa and
Mhm.
all of these places, like they would leverage the two major nations against each other to try and keep themselves how they're living in independence. So they would set up trade relations with China or set up political connections to Japan. And yeah, just there's a lot going on in those places, but they weren't necessarily like trade hubs, so they don't need to be major ports. There are these in-between spaces that don't want to belong to anyone, but are kind of like trapped on like both sides.
Yeah,
So
it's
did they
there's a
do that
lot-
here? No.
no.
No,
there's,
I mean,
I think there's
I'm
a
just
missed
sad
opportunity.
because that could be cool. Yeah,
That would have
I'm
been
sad
really cool.
because
Because
that
you
would
could
have
have
been
had
so
like
cool.
you could have had a lot of like political like intrigue connecting with the show with Wa and the buffering between the two, because then you can have like this whole like literally, because we have secret military ties, it could be like this whole secret war happening and brewing between both nations at the same time, and Wakan is now like the center of all of it, because you got fleeing nobles seeking asylum and trade deals happening under the table.
Yeah, I mean, it's actually like a legitimately cool story idea. It's like you get the Emperor is sending you to Wakan to uncover their secret military connections to the Kingdom of Wa, and it's just like you go, and it's just like it's just all like it's a fishing city, and you're like, okay, well, how are these people connected to the military? And maybe you're going into these different like fishing depots, or you're looking at their boats, and I'm like, why are these fishing boats so big? And you're like, you go under as maybe you get credentials as an inspector or whatever, and you're finding like, oh, these fishing boats are actually ferrying weapons or nobles from Wa.
Or they're just full of nobles.
Oh, they're just full of nobles.
Nobles.
And it's just
Just
like,
all
Just
sitting.
full of
and it's just like, oh, hello.
Wait, didn't one of us get the Ministry of Sea at some point? Like we could have easily been in
Yeah,
there.
right? So, like, what was it? If I go to the trail map, the Ministry of Sea, there's merchant marine, waterways and canals, ports and harbors, lost. Ooh, you literally, you could be a bureaucrat of lost ships.
I feel like this could be such a cool noir setting.
It is.
Like,
That's the thing.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
literally
Like-
like prohibition, but with nobles.
yeah, it's prohibition, but we just throw crates of nobles into the sea and then wash up on the shore.
Yeah. It's like but you could
Dump the nobles.
But here's
Dump
what,
the nobles.
but here's what's interesting. You could have different people involved. So each of the characters, if you were to do this in D&D, each of the characters would be from a different ministry. So it's like political intrigue,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
And it's like,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I'm looking at the trail map, and there is actually an ambassador to Wa. So maybe one person is like, ambassador to Wa. Another person's like, okay, Ministry of War. I'm in the Imperial Navy, and maybe I am, a part of the Admiral of the Celestial Sea. I work for that person. And then there's one person who's like, okay, I'm the Ministry of the Sea and lost ships. We keep losing ships here. And then you could have like, where is the, there's the finance.
Oh yeah, there's.
Okay, then there's the court. Then there's like royal guests and ambassadors, right? So you could have like people working for different political figures, each with their own agendas, all going together as a task force to investigate Wakan and what's
Yeah.
going on there and the deals that they have, because something's fishy. I mean, I think that's interesting.
Something's fishy in
Jeez.
Wakan.
I feel like what would be really cool with like the
D&D,
lost...
wizards, hire me. All right, something's fishy in Wakan.
Yo.
Yeah, I feel like a cool hook would be like you talk about people they're losing ships, and then you go there and you find that all of these exiled nobles have been like taking ships and building a floating city off the coast where they're like hiding out or something like that.
Wait,
I
it's
also
it's the Bat-clad ship that is underwater and it rises out of the water.
Gosh.
Oh,
And then they name themselves Kanwakan
Yeah.
because they can see Wakan.
but I just love this idea of like, as like NPCs, like y'all show up, like roll up into Wakan, and there's only two classes. There's just like the nobles that have fled here, and there's just a bunch of hard-boiled, like, I've seen it all, grizzled, like sailors, just like, yeah, man, I've seen it.
Nobody tells
just this
me
that grizzle hardball sea dog.
Yeah.
And then later on, the big twist is like the sea dog that you've been getting your info from is a noble.
Always in the sea dog. The sea dog is actually an admiral. from
Pulls
the-
off the mask.
No, he's just like you just like uncover. It's like he's got like a tattoo.
Or he's wearing
Just
that regalia underneath all of it.
The whole time. This whole time.
the whole time. Yeah.
See, I feel like the
They're
old sea dog would definitely be an admiral of Wa who has
Yeah.
sought asylum
Yeah.
here. But here's the thing: there's a shady government official in Wakan who's approving of all of these refugees, even though there's political tension between Sho and Wa and Kozakura. Right? I think it's ooh, this would be. I would play this.
I would
Mhm.
play
Yeah,
this. I
would
would
play
watch this
this.
movie. Heck.
I don't think it would be D&D though. I think it would be like.
Mhm.
I think it
It'd be
could be like For the Queen.
I think he
Yeah.
could beak, feather, and bone.
Yeah, if you just have a
This
map.
too.
Big
Big
Feather and
Sun.
Bone.
I feel like this is
I
a
think it
very
could-
like Casablanca sort of
Mhm.
feel. Yeah.
If you
It
want like a
could also
noir,
be-
if you want to do like a noir feel, you could also do like City of Mist wouldn't be a bad way to go either.
Yeah, or Forged
City
in
of
the Dark.
Fish.
City of Mist and Fish.
I feel like Blades in the Dark could really work with this.
Yeah, Blades
Oh,
would work
Blades
well
would
for
be
here.
really good for it. Yeah, because
Fish in the fog.
Fish in the fog. Yes. Yes.
But if
Emma for the win.
if you were to do
perfect.
Blades in the Dark, I would switch it around, and you would be actually helping people from Wa get to
Yes.
Wakan,
Yes.
and
yes.
the
So that
GM
would, yeah.
would be basically playing the Sholung government and all these officials who have basically come into town inspecting them. It's like a
Well-
surprise inspection on the day that you're supposed to bring in people, and that's the job.
Yeah, well, like in Blades in the Dark, there's always like a lot of different factions. There's of course the like official like show government faction, and
Yeah.
then there would be like the different local ones too. So then like maybe the fisher people association, and then also like the local spies from Wa, and then also like the actual nobles that are seeking asylum here, and then they would all be different ones that are kind of that you need to kind of vie for influence with, and I think that would be really
I think
fun.
it'd be really
Yeah.
dope.
I imagine there would probably be like a really sick like restaurant scene, because like every fishing area has like a place where you can just take your fish and then just prepare it for you, and that you could like maybe you could like smuggle secret messages by sticking it down the gullet of the fish.
Oh, I was gonna
And then,
say like the
just-
fish have goods inside of them.
Yeah, the fish have goods
Yeah.
inside. The fish have goods inside.
Like there's like swords and weapons inside the fish, and then there
Oh,
happens to
these
be one.
giant ass fish.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
just like
yeah, because we got like those giant
tuna. What
sharks.
about, like, a
You would have
tuna?
the giant tuna.
Throw it
giant
on the
sharks.
counter.
just like
I mean, in some cases, the fish
We're just
themselves are the
shoving
weapons.
Yeah.
swords
a
down.
swordfish,
Also
yeah.
true.
Yeah.
And there's
I
just
just
like a
love this
whole
idea.
and everybody has like a code. It's just like, how many fish would you like?
I mean, look, if you ever got hit by,
That
if you've ever gotten
sounds
hit
like
across the face
not
by
a
a
good
flounder,
code.
it's not
Can
a,
I
it's not
can
a
I
pleasing
have my
feeling.
it's like, can I get my fish butterflied? And then it's like you go open it, it's like butterfly knives inside. I need it with the special sauce.
See, when you said butterfly, I feel like you open it up, and my ADHD my ADHD brain went, you open up the fish and then butterflies come out. And I was like, oh,
So long as there's
No,
some
this is
scene where
not
someone,
medieval
like,
European
dual wields
pastry.
trout.
Yeah.
So instead of doves, it's butterflies. And
Yeah.
so you
Nice.
But yeah, no, I love this idea of like this grizzled like world, like black and white, with like just all of the fisher people are just like really grim and like smoking cigarettes, just like
we just call the series Kara-Tur Noir.
Kara-Tur Noir, fish in the fog.
Fish in the Fog is so good.
Fish in the
It's
Fog
so
is actually
good.
super
Yeah.
good.
It's really
that is really good.
you fall in love with like an NPC who's like she's just been like fishing all her life, and now she's brought into this whole thing in order to save her family's fishing empire or like business.
I feel like we gotta run Blades in the Dark set in Kara-Tur.
Yeah.
I feel like that's gotta
set in
Wakan. Set in Wakan
Wakan.
specifically.
Yeah. What
Yeah.
I love about the tangents and the things that happen in this stream is we are latching onto the things that they really probably didn't think anyone would
Oh,
be
yeah.
interested in.
Yeah.
And we then take that and apply it to someone else's game system.
Yeah.
That's true.
I'm just sitting here coming up with like all these backstories. Like now in my head, I'm like thinking of like a monologue where like an NPC is just like staring at walls, like, you know. when
I
we
already
look at
have.
the wall,
I have.
It's
like.
not. It's not just a country. It's a representation of all the things that all our hopes, all our dreams.
I think
But
we've
we'll
got an
always just
adventure
look at
for,
them, we
the
can never
Unbreakable
have them.
anthology when suns
Just
open up again.
that,
Like-
but and Michelle, that sounds like something that one of the old tavern owners should say.
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
I just
It
want
just
my
stares
character
out.
to be standing under a street lantern.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
It's
god.
just so funny that we're like, you know what would be great to tell the story that we want to hear?
A game that's not D&D.
yeah.
Like D&D would be perfect for doing what we want here.
Okay, so let's move on.
Okay.
Okay, I'm so glad that Wakan, the one place where it has like a very nebulous sort of like doesn't really have too much of this or that, we've created this entire rich history and setting.
The least of
Because
I
it should
really
have that.
want-
Because like
Yeah.
it sits at a very
really want this
strategically
Blades
important
game.
position.
I want this Blades game to
Yeah.
happen. I'm actually writing this down. I
Oh, but you see,
Fish
the
in the
funny thing is
mist.
also.
Hey.
it's gonna be
Fish in the Fog.
Kara-Tur
Here's the other
Noir,
thing too,
Fish
right?
in the Fog.
But here's the other thing
Oh,
too.
right.
You can tie in also in with Loshan from Shanti, because it's literally at the border on the map, and so like you can have like that connection of like that really like noir-esque of like this really cosmopolitan area, and then you have like then you have like the fishing port for all the other elements of the noir, so you get everything.
I
Sitting
am
in the
really
dark
attached.
box.
I've never run Blades, so I'm so
Oh.
down.
Blades is so much.
This would
I'm
be
like
such a
world
great
building
supplement.
so fast in my head right now. Like I'm just creating these NPCs, and there's got to be like the fog fish of like this like urban legend of a giant fish that will swallow your fleets,
Mhm.
Yeah.
and maybe that's one of the. And then maybe like that's the reason why. No
Agatha, are
one's,
you writing this down?
yeah,
The thing is, I've just been reading through Blades. I'm still reading through Blades right now, and I'm just looking at like the different types of like gang or like your crew, like different kind of
Yeah.
crew that you can be. And I'm just thinking about like in this setting, like what kind of crews can you do? So obviously you can be the smuggler, like literally the noble smuggler, or you can also be like like infiltrate, like spies, basically. Like that could be another type that you could do, and that there's just like so many different potentials for Wakan.
I love how, like Emma, you're right. It's like we picked the one. Of all the places that we have read in Kara-Tur, so because we've literally gone from like, okay, so this is the place of the arts. This is the one place where they fight the barbarians. This is the place where
They eat spicy
they eat
snake.
spicy snake, sweet and spicy snake. Like there's the
As long as it's not
capital,
lamb.
there's the Jade Throne, and then the one location is like, yeah, it's that fishing place where they can see Japan, and we're like, this is where our adventure will set in.
Because it's so cool. Like,
No, but,
Yeah.
but see, like, can you imagine it? The opening shot is literally the mist. Is the misty dawn, and you can see, and then you have like the shadow of Wa in the distance, and you just see, and you're viewing from the vantage point of like the fishing village.
I'm just
yeah,
imagining.
and then-
I'm just
and then you
imagining
zoom
the.
in.
I'm just
Oh.
imagining the overlay on Twitch, and we'd make all our cameras black and white,
Yep.
Yes.
and then,
And
put
then,
down
like,
a
the
misty,
opening shot.
a misty overlay with clouds in the background.
I've
The-
done it.
I
It's
love the
great.
idea of like this opening shot of like, and then we zoom in on like a fishing boat and it's pulling in its catch in the morning.
Mhm.
And it's like, oh, what's this? What's this? It's not, it's a noble. There's a noble
It's
in
a
our
dead
net.
noble.
Is it-
It's a
oh,
dead
Dead
noble, oh my
noble.
god.
Yeah.
I just thought of that episode of The Office when Michael auditions for Sweeney Todd, but he does a whole episode of Law and Order. Oh no, it's a body! Sorry. So, but anyways, we're running out of time. We got 15 minutes left. Let's try
Okay.
to read one
What
more.
kind?
Because
Another body, another day.
another body, another day, another job. I should play a hard-boiled
Wakan.
detective.
Yep.
Well, all of the fishermen are hard boiled.
There's been another murder.
So that means
In
that all the
Wakan.
characters can't be hard boiled. We have to be soft. We have to be like soft boiled. We can't be hard
Yeah,
boiled.
Oh
you
my
can't be
God.
hard boiled because all of Wakan is like hard boiled. And so you're coming in,
Everyone
like,
is like walking
normal.
around and like spitting on the side of the street.
They got silk trench coats. Ooh.
Oh yeah.
Ooh.
like log
Okay.
and like the fishing.
Okay,
I'm
net.
okay,
into it.
okay. This is
Next place.
That's the session 0. Okay. Well,
T.
let's read the next place. T art. I say art.
I
is
don't
the
even
second.
know.
The
Such a
second
letdown.
province.
Such a-
T Urta is how I feel like they were writing this,
Yeah, I think that's what they were trying to say.
but it's like
Is it Erda or would it be Ert?
R. It'd be like R.
Arta.
Yeah,
R, because
yeah.
it's the second province, so I'm like R. E,
Yeah.
R.
Yeah, so it's
R.
yeah.
Yeah.
Arta.
Arta, yeah.
It's this is written very. This is why taking Chinese and trying to put it into D&D is very difficult. But anyways, the land, hilly and rolling with deep valleys and terraced fields. As one approaches the coastline, the country becomes more rocky and strewn with dense belts of fog. By the time of the Second Dynasty, many nobles of the region had fallen into squabbling among themselves for power and position. Eventually, these conflicts erupted in a series of bloody feuds. Art was the site of many terrible battles and wars. In fact, it is believed to be haunted by the ghostly specter of Pin Mo Nam, the dreaded head taker of legend. Okay, cool. The T are a shrewd, insular people, famed among the other peoples of show for their monumental cheapness.
Oh god.
They are
And
they are
It's
hard-headed,
the end.
practical,
No.
and drive hard bargains. In stature, they are of average height with deep-set eyes and longish hair, fond of wearing heavy embroidered robes and tall conical hats. The T comprise mostly of the money changers and lenders within the empire. Cities or places of note. Liao Pei, a large city across the river from the old capital of Xifeng, is known for its fine food, very hot, and colorful history of warfare with Shengti province. Tsingtao
Oh,
Yeah.
no.
is paid for its beer and wine, which are exported to the other provinces. Oh my!
I saw that line like a while ago, and I already was trying so hard to hold it in.
Okay.
I was trying so hard.
Okay.
Hey, we need to explain. We need to
Yeah, we
explain
do.
to the viewers why everyone just went bonkers at the
Tsingtao.
Tsingtao thing.
See?
Oh, beer.
It's a brand of beer.
It's a brand of beer.
It's beautiful.
Yep.
Oh,
I
okay.
what?
I read that earlier, and I was already trying to hold it in. I was trying so hard.
I feel
What?
like
Why? Why?
Oh, that's funny.
Oh.
I don't
Oh
think they meant it
god.
to be funny.
Oh god. Okay, let's talk about the cheapness because like
Yeah.
Yeah.
this is a real bad
so
stereotype.
problematic.
That
Because
is
now
really
we
bad.
we know who the T are.
So let's put this into context with the last one. So the T, the hard. So that means that the Wakan people are artistic but also cheap because they say they're hard-headed like the T,
Yeah.
right? And their stature is much like the T. Like I don't understand why physical
Their average
stature
height.
would
What a
change.
problem.
Ooh. I don't-
Longish hair.
But like if you
What?
also look at the map, so the high quality map, like they are just like right next to each other. It
Mm-hmm.
like I don't know why they're explaining the physiology of these people when they would be very
Relatively similar.
Yeah.
Also,
yeah,
like-
it's
It's like everyone is average height. What is that?
I want to point out there's another alcohol-related town on the map
Oh no.
south of Tsingtao.
Oh,
Kieran.
Kieran.
Yeah, Kieran.
Yeah.
Kieran, yeah.
Yep.
But I think it's. I mean, when we get, I think when we, I don't want to assume it's an alcohol themed one unless one of you wants to, search the document for it.
I
Yeah,
saw
because
Kieran.
because that
it
also
could be the
is
creature,
like,
could the Chile,
Yeah.
the creature.
Yeah.
yeah,
Could be.
Probably the creature.
But is it
It could-
though?
but it's
But it's-
Yes. So that's in the next region. It is named for the Keelan, the
Okay.
creature.
Yeah,
It's named for the
Okay,
creature.
that's-
Okay, cool.
Visited the city.
That's-
Yeah.
Okay.
That makes
Okay,
me feel
perfect.
a little better.
I just still
Just-
can't
just a little
believe
bit.
that they named a place Tsingtao, and they made it a place for beer.
Did you note that it is located on a foot trail called the Road of Seven Drunkards?
Yeah.
Wait, Tsingtao or Kieran?
Tsingtao.
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 Oh my goodness.
oh my god.
There is a footpath between Tsingtao and Kieran.
I love how
so-
Tsingtao is canonically a D&D place for getting beer, and it never showed up in that cookbook.
Right?
Oh, that's so true.
Yeah.
What a missed opportunity.
What a missed
Well,
could've gotten
product!
some
What a missed
sponsorship.
product
Noodles.
integration!
Why aren't you happy
Yeah.
with that,
Right?
right?
Oh my god.
It's either that or they realized that they accidentally used a copyrighted name and couldn't use it again.
I don't think they accident. Okay, well, let's check.
No, this was not an accident.
Tsingtao
could-
Brewery
No.
was founded in 1903. This is no accident.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is
This
a
was
throw-
intentional.
This is like
this
a
part was
wink.
intentional.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This was like a wink and a nod, being like, "Aha!"
I mean, this is also
Tsingtao,
TSR.
yeah.
This is also TSR we're talking about, where they decided to just throw in all the HP Lovecraft stuff when they were already being in copyright.
It's the Wild West of game design.
Yeah, so Tsingtao came to the U.S. in 1972.
Oh, yeah, so
not
they-
an
they-
accident.
Not an
Yeah,
accident.
it
at
was.
all.
So yeah, so this was definitely like a
This-
reference here.
This further, I think this furthers my theory that when they were creating the alphabet, they were at a Chinese restaurant, and they were like, and they were looking at the menu, and they were like, "Oh, like that character looks like a G. Okay, it's not enough G, so let's add a couple strokes. Oh, Tsingtao, that's a good name. Let's make that as
I
Server
just
C."
feel,
comes
I just
over,
feel that if they were,
who
the only thing I'm
ordered?
concerned about though is if they really did do this in a Chinese restaurant, why is there's less references to the Chinese zodiac?
Yeah.
I mean, we have snake with sweet and sour. We have sweet and sour snake. That is
And the
that is in
snake.
this.
Yeah.
And the one temple that's all snakes.
Oh yeah. Roll for snake.
Roll for
yeah.
snake.
Yeah,
for
snake
snakes.
encounter.
Roll for
Snake
snake.
encounter.
I just
I don't understand why there's like the people. One of the key things that they always put in there is height.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who
What is
cares?
up with that? Like,
Also, like,
why?
Average
Like-
height.
average
People
height.
with average height are cheap, man.
Well, I know like a big part of initial character creation, like they had tables where you could roll random heights and like
hmm Still do actually.
Height and weight too, I think, were big emphases in your original character creation in kind of the D&D mindset. I never quite got it either, but
And that's fine if it helps you to imagine how your character exists in the world and interacts with other characters.
Yeah.
But I don't know why it has to be something applied to an entire population.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
Like
Because like secular trends, like everyone, height isn't
Mhm.
like genetic or consistent.
also like there must be like there's roads and people must migrate from place to place. Like surely we must have seen some cross pollination by now of like folks of different heights and cultures. But apparently we all live in
I don't know
thing
if
with the
everyone's
height-
clannish and insular.
the thing with the height stratification though is that is a major part of how they define visually the different D&D races. So if you go back to that we were talking about of all of these provinces are kind of stand-ins for some kind of a race group. It kind of starts to make sense in that they're in describing the peoples of these provinces, they are defining a kind of a soft race for each one of these groups. So having things like height becomes necessary in the D&D schema where you are building your character around this kind of race class concept.
I think the thing that they're also doing here is they are portraying these like provinces as separate political entities and separate cultural entities from Sholung proper. And we have seen very little that ties them all together. We have only seen what makes them different from one another. Except for this really terrible written language.
Really though, the thing that ties them all together is the emperor and his army, I would presume.
Yeah, the emperor, his army, and his
the
major
mandate
chain of bling.
And the mandate of heaven.
Yeah.
So what I get that the Tsingtao is like supposed to be a very like it's supposed to be a tongue-in-cheek, like wink and nod, but it completely undermines everything in terms of being able to take any of this with any sense of seriousness. And also like it also just it's a like breaking the fourth wall thing that just completely snaps you out of everything immersive in terms of just writing. Not only is it offensive, but it's also like in terms of writing style
offensive.
It's super offensive, but not just that, it also is just like really poor writing decision because we're here to immerse ourselves in this world. And by adding a fun little, quote unquote, fun little like real
Easter
world
egg or
thing,
whatever.
whatever, and it's just like the heck, like what?
I see. The thing is, I don't think this is it's not an Easter egg. This is just poor writing, right?
Yeah.
It's like they're like, oh yeah, Chinese people love a bargain and they're cheap. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
We'll make this group of people really cheap, but we'll say that they are the money lenders and changers for the empire, so it works in the lore.
That's the
I
other
feel like
thing.
there's
You're not going to put all of those people in the same place.
Yeah, I know,
You
right?
should never put all those kind of people in the same place.
Also, why would
I
you?
almost feel like this is wrapping around to some of the anti-Semitism too.
Yeah, I was about to say
I was
that
gonna
because
say.
definitely is
Talk
like
on
linking
that
to
too.
anti-Semitism, especially with the way that they're like the way that they're dressed, the long
Deep set eyes, longish
Do not
hair.
like.
Yeah.
There's a
just
lot.
like
This is probably the worst one we've read so far.
Yeah.
Easily
So
the
far.
worst one we've read so far.
I flames.
Yeah.
Flames,
And also,
rage.
yeah, like a city will not remain a city if the only occupation in that city is money lending.
Yeah, like across the whole empire.
Yeah.
But they all
Well,
come
they-
from this.
It's not
specific-
even
Well,
in
they
the
have beer and
convenient
wine.
But yeah,
location for it.
it needs to be
No.
centralized, and there are very few roads actually leading out of it.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. Like, that's not how you make a centralized like money exchange work.
See, it would be interesting though if they did have a city that was famed for its banking along
Right.
the major trade route, so that when
Yeah.
people are going into the capital, they could exchange their home currency for local currency to trade here or something like that.
Right.
It would honestly make sense for like having a major banking hub in the Minlo, the small trading town in the Maiyuan province that is centrally located along a major trade route.
Yeah.
Or the going south, there's this Taitung, which we'll see how that plays out when we
Let's
get
also
there.
not forget that in Oriental Adventures, the yuan is an actual mode of currency in Kara-Tur. like real money from China is the actual currency. It's not like the gold coin. They actually were like, yeah, here are the different kinds of currencies, and there's
Do they use the yen, the Y?
I'd have to look back. I don't want to make any assumptions. It felt like we read Oriental Adventures like ages ago at this point. But I remember the yuan was an actual kind of currency that is used in Kara-Tur. So they have
So I actually scrolled ahead because there is a province called Hai Yuan.
Yep.
Oh no.
And that does not seem to reference money in that naming.
There's a Chu
the
Yuan
province
as well.
is named Hai Yuan, the maritime provinces.
Well, yeah, because yuan also means like garden, sort of. So like or like field. So like Mao Yuan was like the field of horses, quote unquote. So.
So yeah, it does not. I don't think it necessarily references a currency, maybe.
Does it?
But
Is it?
Oh my god.
Uh-oh.
Was I right?
No, I read ahead.
Yeah.
No!
we keep doing this.
Don't do this. No.
The
And
show.
we're out of time.
Which one, Daniel?
The show is
Which
ending.
one?
The show's ending. No, it's okay. The show.
What a
Get it? The
cliffhanger.
show is ending.
All I know is that if we play Fish in the Fog now, we all have to be drinking Tsingtao.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
Oh,
No
yes,
doubt.
absolutely.
doubt.
Absolutely.
You know what? Maybe we should. Do you think we could get Singtao to sponsor that episode?
Don't think, but I think we should definitely try.
Ask
How
them
I'd
to
be like,
sponsor it
what
just so we
is-
can let them know that this exists, so they can sue Wizards of the Coast.
Crack
Yes.
a Singtao when you're playing D&D. Ooh.
But not D&D. Blades in the Dark.
Okay,
But here,
so,
please let.
so here's what we should do. I'm serious about this. We should do Kara-Tur Noir, Fish in the Fog, a Blades in the Dark miniseries, episode 1, Something's Fishy in Wakan, right?
Yeah.
And I think we
Yes.
should. I legitimately think we should sit down, do a session 0, make our characters, but this session 0 should also be let's play Beak, Feather, and Bone in Wakan and set up
Yeah.
all the factions at play here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
I
then
agree.
maybe we can make a document and release it as like the unofficial toolkit for using Kara-Tur and Blades of the Dark.
As long as everyone is super hard boiled and grizzled, like all the NPCs
Oh,
are.
everybody's
really
gonna be
hard-boiled.
way over the top. It's
It's just like
It has to be.
I love this. I need this, actually.
okay. So let's make
Good,
this.
good thing I do have a smoking implement of some kind.
Yeah. So like, let's do this. Let's try to figure out how we can make our overlay completely black and white.
I'm gonna have to buy so much Pocky to pretend that it's cigarettes.
That's a great idea. I will do that too.
Yeah.
So I feel like we'll drink Singtao. Maybe we do Singtao, and instead of smoking, we all have Pocky.
You just have
Get-
Pocky, but like you have to
Get
break up your
latte to
Pocky
sponsor.
into
Yeah,
little
yeah.
pieces.
Sponsored
So that
by
they're just-
sponsored by Lottie, sponsored by Singtao, and thanks John Harper for the game. Blades of the Dark.
yes.
I honestly I think it'd be a great idea. We should let's talk about this in our chat.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah, let's talk about this. in
dope
chat.
ass game idea.
That's a dope game idea.
I love it.
Oh my god! And we should just all watch Casablanca in preparation.
Oh, yeah.
I'm gonna look at like fish market videos on YouTube
you-
and see how people like can shove things down a fish.
Oh, you can shove a lot of things down.
Oh, yeah.
How
Yeah.
to
Yeah,
smuggle
absolutely.
in a fish?
If you also want other additional noir choices, I can also recommend other noir stuff because I'm a big fan of noir.
Yeah, I
so
love
can
noir as
recommend-
well.
So
So
I can recommend a lot of noir and crime drama shows or things that are related to it. It's good.
Depending on the side we want to play, like I want to be like the Lobster Johnson of Shogun. That's fear my claw.
It's just Lobster Waka instead.
Lobster
Would
Waka.
you be a lobster Hengeokai yokai then? Does
I
that
would
exist?
100% be
Yokai.
a lobster hanga yokai. I would be this hard-boiled detective.
Hard boiled to your bright red.
You know the funniest
my
bit,
God.
Daniel, is that in real life, my other one of my Friday night games actually does. We take place in Ravnica, and one of the characters is a
Yes.
hard-boiled lobster person.
Yes, Simic hybrid.
Oh
Yeah.
my
Yes,
God.
a civic hybrid, but he's a lobster person, so it's like he wears like the duster, the hat, the whole 9 yards.
Yeah. Also,
Nice.
like
Like
a
Kyle's still really good at stealthing.
great, hilarious Noir character was Spider-Man Noir in Into the Spider-Verse, played by Nicolas
Yes.
Oh.
Cage.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, no, that's
Yeah.
basically
Spider-Noir
like
is
the
great.
Yeah.
Spider Noir. Sometimes I burn matches just
Just to
down to
see-
my fingers. I can feel
So I
anything.
could feel anything.
Something, anything. Oh.
So good.
Yeah.
We'll just be the edgiest characters ever. Oh, okay, I'm hyped.
Daniel, if you want, there is to keep with the crab theme in Japanese myth and legend. There's the Heike Kani
How
or
do you,
Heike
how
Gani.
do you spell that?
I can just send you
Yeah.
something,
Is
but
that a
it's
crab thing?
essentially like the ghosts.
Oh,
of
I found it.
Samurai, yeah,
I
the ghosts
found
of
it.
samurai that
Yeah, that have been reborn as
Nickname-
crabs.
They
nicknamed
end
the
up in
samurai
crabs.
crab.
Yeah.
yeah.
It's a literal species of crab.
Yeah, this
And-
is a cool
Oh
thing.
my god, they're the ones with the shell that looks like a face.
Yeah.
Yes.
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 What?
Yeah,
Yeah.
these exist and they're scary. Like I think they're
Yeah.
kind of cool.
That's
but
me.
Scary.
That's me.
That could be you. It brings
That
in
could be-
crab. It brings I don't know.
You
what.
know, I am a fan of bringing more crustacean content onto Asians Represent.
I mean, to be fair though, all things will convert to crab. That's just the reality.
Oh my
Apparently.
god.
It's
This
a biological
is-
process. All crab-like things become real crabs.
Oh my god. I'm just gonna be a samurai crab. A literal samurai crab.
But but as players, we all have to be like, pretty like chill and
Crab
let us-
gang.
the contrast between us and the rest of everybody else being so hard boiled and noir is even more hilarious.
Yep.
Yeah. We only
God.
meet the lighting in this the light people only come out at night. The lighting is super chiaroscuro. Like
Oh, okay. This is gonna be great. We'll work on this. Maybe we should do this for. We could do this for. Asian Heritage Month is in May.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
We could plan this out for May.
That's
And-
so ironic.
And if we want, we could do 2 streams and we could do them for charity.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, let's do it.
We'll do like a session. We
Absolutely.
could do a session 0, and then we'll
Mhm.
like make the world and everything. If we want to do it in a 1 weekend thing, we could do like morning session 0,
Yeah.
take a break, and then
Yeah.
afternoon we'll do like the actual game. That could
Right.
be
Yeah.
really
That's solid.
fun.
That could be fun.
That could be
That'd be
really
fun.
fun. Well, so we've got like some time. So we got March, April to plan for this, basically.
Yeah.
Ooh.
You mean
Excellent.
Wow, everyone just really hopped on that.
Crab Clan.
This will be fun. I haven't actually gotten to be a player in years, so
Yeah. What was this Crab Clan?
Well, I mean, there's this. I like this as crab too. So I don't know. Crab clan.
We'll
We'll
workshop
to
it.
come up with
We're
something
gonna
to
workshop
actually-
This, I feel like we're coming up with like a Zoom seat,
Well, no,
like special handshake.
there's got to be a secret handshake because it's like, oh, your boat's coming up and you're meeting the dock master and you're just like, oh yes, we're here. like, ooh,
So
there's gonna be a secret handshake, and you go. You secret handshake.
Yeah. Oh, that's
like,
the K. That's the K.
That's-
Oh, you
that's
pay?
how you-
The K.
That's how you
shake it.
pay.
That's how you
Shake it.
pay.
I don't know. There's got to be something, or like there's like a way you walk, and you're just like, hello.
Yeah.
Oh no,
yeah, you
it's
have
like
to walk.
duels.
You gotta-
It's like this is what happens when
I
when the
literally-
fishermen get drunk and then they like start dueling and it's just like
I literally just want to be that crab with the knife. That's my character. I just want to be that crab with the
I
knife.
knew it.
one
Oh,
of us has
okay.
to be a
the
mantis
truth
shrimp.
comes out.
Oh my
Ah!
god.
I am a mantis shrimp.
You are a mantis shrimp. So
Yeah.
this is what we're gonna do. I'm super excited. We'll make this. Oh, Kara-Tur Noir, Fish in the Fog. I can't wait. We'll commission some art and everything like that. That said, we are running out of time. We have run out of time. We have gone well over time, kind of just like deep diving into how we could use this for Blades in the Dark. I'm really excited about what we're gonna do.
We almost got 2 more pages through, so that's an achievement.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we-
Well,
we
here's
got
the
1.5
thing.
pages.
When we finish, by the time we finish all of this, there is literally, after we hit Arakan, which will be, I think if we could blaze through the next 2 pages, maybe we'll try to focus up and we'll get this done, because after this we're going to hit the spirit of the show, the stature of the show, and the honor of the show.
Oh no.
I'm just gonna take a shot.
Are the sections that follow this. So that's got to be 1 episode. So if we try to push through and get all of the provinces done, then we'll be able to do honor by, so this is March. By May, we'll be able to do an episode on honor.
Yay!
That's exactly what we need. Oh my god.
Oh my god. Don't read ahead because it's spoily.
I've already
central.
scrolled ahead. It's
Oh,
a
okay, I'm so
problem.
sorry.
Yeah, it's a cursed image if you scroll ahead.
So that said, if you enjoyed what you watched, if you enjoyed what you listened to, stick around, because we're gonna do some great things in the future with this Kara-Tur document. We're just gonna milk this Kara-Tur document for everything, because we're on page. Well, what have we hit? We're
12, right?
Well,
we're on page
yeah, we're on
12.
page
Yeah,
12.
page
So we've
12.
got many more to go. That said, thank you folks for joining us for this episode. So happy that you could be here with us, whether it be in the podcast, live on Twitch, or on YouTube. We appreciate you. Thank you, and have a wonderful day. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.